Okay, hello people. So if you're like me, you work with people with low levels of physical activity. And with these patients, I often try and build them a physical activity castle. And this is good for working with patients, say, with stroke or multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's disease or people who are elderly fallers who are disabled. But for many of these patients, they are housebound and their levels of physical activity are low. And if we were to graph it, they're at a level that we are quite concerned about because if left that way, that means that their mobility levels are going to decline. For some people, however, they do get to go out. They get to go out to their appointments, to shopping, to visit their friends and family, and or going out to the physio or going to the gym, and they can boost their physical activity levels each week. But it doesn't take much for that extra activity to disappear, which can happen with illness or injury or becoming more depressed or anxious over time. And it can happen at the moment as we're dealing with this real bugger of a virus at the moment, which is causing social isolation. So that means physical activity levels are likely to be dropping, and therefore mobility is likely to decline, which we don't like as physiotherapists. So if we consider the exercises your patients may have been given by you or another physiotherapist, and if you like my patients, they're often dealing with dozens and dozens or hundreds of exercises. What you've got to do is come up with 3 relatively easy exercises and discuss with your patient, and the 2 of you basically come up with why these are your top 3 exercises. They may be focusing on certain muscle groups that need extra input to get stronger, certain movements or balance functions that are important for your goals, or increasing your physical activity levels by boosting your heart rate gradually to get fitter. And to be honest with you, these wrist-worn heart rate monitors over the last 3 or 4 years have been fantastic to help people set the right levels. So the first goal is to be able to do those 3 exercises every single day of the week. Now that may not happen in the first week, but it will happen over time, and that's a real milestone. It means that even though the exercises may be relatively easy, you've been able to do them every single day. And that's building up some resistive load. Then what happens is on certain days you increase the dose, and we're talking about things like increasing the repetitions, the time practicing, the load on muscle groups, the complexity of the balance exercises. Or it could be increasing your perceived intensity or even heart rate exertion. And it's a gradual process, and it's happening over weeks that on certain days you're increasing the amount of activity with your exercises. And you may be shifting your goals around which particular things you're increasing. It may be you're focusing on strength. It may be you're focusing on time and endurance. But what happens is you're reaching these milestones, you're setting these goals, and on certain days of the week, you're becoming more and more active. And what's happened over time is then you've built your physical activity castle. It does look a little bit like a castle, but anyway, this castle now means that you've got a routine of physical activity, you're more resilient, you've adapted to the exercises and the movements, you're stronger and you're fitter, and so it's going to take much more to take that activity away, and if you have a setback, it's more likely you'll be able to build back into that routine again. So it's a simple idea, but it's an important one when we're thinking about long-term physical activity for our patients. Thanks for listening.